This is Adam Bernard with AutoPerspectives, and it's time for a news roundup. For those of you in the U.S., happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully you enjoyed your holidays, didn't run into too many travel snags. As you might imagine, it was a somewhat quiet week last week, but there are a few interesting things to talk about, and we'll start off with a couple of things that maybe are a little on the frivolous side. The first is the Longbow Speedster. Now, the actual production version of this vehicle was unveiled earlier this month in London after a virtual preview about 7 months ago. The prototype that was displayed featured 3D printed bodywork, an unfinished interior, a somewhat rough powertrain, but it's already driven about 150 miles and can hit 60 miles an hour in under 5 seconds with an eventual target of about 3.5 seconds. If you're not familiar with the company Longbow, they are a UK-based startup. Both their CEO and their COO have experience at Tesla, Uber, and BYD, and Longbow also has an advisory board populated by former executives from McLaren, Lotus, and Alpine. So if you're looking for folks with experience in both EVs and sports cars, you've got a pretty good group of people to start with there. Now, the company motto for Longbow is Celeritas Levitatis, the speed of lightness. So think of this as kind of a spiritual successor to Colin Chapman's original Lotus sports cars, where he talked about the notion of adding lightness. And these are very lightweight vehicles, especially considering that they are EVs. The Longbow Speedster that you see here weighs a good 2,200 pounds less than the electric MG Cyberster. It's powered by a single rear-mounted 270 horsepower motor, a battery that's about 55 kilowatt hours, and that will get it a WLTP range of about 275 miles. So somewhere probably in the neighborhood of 220 to 250 if you wanted to check it out on the EPA cycle. There's a somewhat minimalist interior. Again, not quite done yet, but you see there in their lower right. It features a mechanical aluminum shifter and no giant touchscreen, so very much an analog setup here, but we haven't seen all the final details yet. It's worth noting that the powertrain, brakes, and lighting are all sourced from suppliers. This is an asset-light model, and it's kind of the opposite of what Tesla and BYD have been doing in terms of vertical integration, but the leadership at Longbow acknowledges that this does come with a price penalty to the tune of about 20%. But again, this is a low-volume, high-priced vehicle. It's not intended to be a mass market model. The UK's Watt Electric Vehicle Company developed the extruded aluminum chassis and the multi-link suspension. All the components except the battery are expected to be built and sourced in the UK. Initially, they'll build up about 150 of the Speedster that you see here at about $110,000 each. That vehicle will not come to the US, but there is a companion model confusingly called the Roadster because it is a closed coupe. And that vehicle that follows will be available in the U.S. So timing is fairly close. We'll wait to see as these start to roll off the line. But, again, you don't see a lot of EV sports cars out there because of the cost involved and because of the challenges getting the low center of gravity and also, of course, just the darn mass of the vehicle. And it appears that Longbow has some pretty clever ideas going on here. So I'm sure the media is going to look forward to giving this thing a spin. If your niche tastes run in a slightly different direction, this is the iconic Autosports SP40 Resto-Mod Speedster. And it was inspired by Edsel Ford's 1934 Ford Model 40 Speedster. That vehicle used a tubular aluminum frame and aluminum sheet metal. This modern reinterpretation is powered by a 480 horsepower Coyote V8, a 5-speed manual transmission, and it features carbon fiber body panels mounted to a tubular space frame. So total curb weight here is 2,623 pounds. Again, this is internal combustion, so not EV. You don't have to worry about the weight of the batteries, but that is still a very lightweight vehicle. It features an independent double wishbone suspension, adjustable coilovers, and Brembo brakes. Now, you might be wondering, where did this vehicle come from? It's actually coming from Argentina, which was probably not in your list of top 5 guesses. And that's where Iconic Autosports is located. We haven't seen a full shot of the interior yet. You can see a brief glimpse there. Very minimalist, very analog with wood and leather trim. These Speedsters will be built to order for individual buyers. So obviously different colors and wheels and interior trim and whatnot. And will be sold to U.S. buyers through Iconic's Miami sales office, but we don't have any official word on price. So interesting here to see the two contrasting approaches to doing a low volume 2-passenger open air sports car. We'll shift gears completely and head over to China for the Guangzhou Motor Show. and specifically the Audi E SUV concept. Now, Audi has already launched a new brand in China. If I were spelling this out for you on paper, it would be easy to differentiate. The new brand is Audi, different from the Audi that already exists, because the Audi brand in China is capital U, capital D, capital I, different from capital A, little u, little d, little I. I don't really know how you pronounce them differently, so apologies if this gets a little confusing. So this is the second entry in the China-only Audi brand. It was unveiled at the Guangzhou Motor Show, and it follows the launch of the E5 Sportback earlier this year. As with the E5, this new brand and these new vehicles are being developed with SAIC, that's Shanghai Automotive, and it uses their hardware, what they call the Advanced Digitized Platform, and then couples that with Audi's design. So it's a way for Audi to get their hands on state-of-the-art EV technology and connectivity technology, and also work with a company that really understands the Chinese market. Underneath is a 671 horsepower dual motor configuration with a 109 kilowatt hour battery, and that's good for an equivalent EPA range of about 325 miles. So not outstanding, but certainly competitive given some of the newer vehicles that are in the market. And this is an 800 volt architecture. So Audi claims you can get about the equivalent of 150 miles on a charge in 10 minutes, 150 EPA miles, about 200 miles on the WLTC cycle. It has a strong visual similarity to the E5 Sportback that we've already seen, kind of the looping lamps front and rear, short overhangs, flush door handles, and you'll note that there is no four-ring logo as you see on the Audis that you're probably familiar with. Instead, you see capital A, capital U, capital D, capital I, front and rear to help differentiate the vehicle. We haven't seen inside the new SUV yet. We don't even actually have a name for it, but it's likely to share much of the E5's interior, including that vehicle's 27-inch 4K display, and it'll also offer the new Audi 360 driving assist system. So we are likely to see a production version of this at China's Auto Show next spring. And finally, something from Genesis. Now, you might recall last week we talked about the Genesis Magma GT, but what kind of flew under the radar at the unveiling of the Magma GT was another Genesis concept. This one a little closer to reality. This is the Genesis G90 Wingback. It is now Genesis design chief claims that luxury wagons have global appeal, and one example is the fact that BMW decided to bring their M5 Touring here to the U.S. market. Basically, they've taken the Genesis G90 sedan, turned it into a station wagon, beefed up some of the bodywork, and as well as the mechanical bits underneath. Genesis said they're already stiffening the G90 sedan to make a Magma variant because every Genesis model, from smallest to largest, from cheapest to most expensive, will get a Magma variant. And so that would enable the development of a wagon as well. Now, we'd heard around the Magma GT the idea that Genesis is developing a 3.2-liter V8 turbo for racing, and that engine in a production form, probably with a hybrid, could find its way into a production version of the Magma GT. That engine would probably fit nicely under the hood of a Genesis G90 Wingback as well. But again, Genesis at the moment says this is just a concept. Seemed pretty obvious from what I read that they would like to build it, but we'll have to wait until they make an official decision one way or another. And that brings us to the end of a somewhat shorter episode of Auto Perspectives this week. If you like what you've seen here, please subscribe and share, and visit autoperspectives.net to check out the blog. And we will see you back here in about 7 days. Thanks very much. So long.